Hey, this is Dr. Renicki with CellGen Regenerative Medicine in Pooler, Georgia. So, should regenerative medicine be your first resort or your last resort? Should you go try everything else first, and then if that fails, then try regenerative medicine? I would argue it should be the other way around. And I say that for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's extremely safe. It's extremely effective. So those are reasons I would put it up towards the top of the list. But the other reason I would say that you should do regenerative medicine first is that many of the traditional medical approaches will actually accelerate degeneration. So for example, the cortisone shots, the steroid shots like that, they will block pain, but they actually increase the destruction and damage to the cartilage in the knee or the hip or the shoulder or wherever you're having trouble, and they just make it to where you're now in an even worse predicament than you were before. That's not the case with regenerative medicine. With regenerative medicine, I'm not going to suggest that 100% of all cases respond. It's very high, but it certainly isn't 100%. But in those few cases where they don't respond, there isn't anything now where they're worse off from it. They've got no disadvantage to it. So yes, there is of course cost with it. Everything has cost, certainly. But as far as the risk of it making the problem worse, that just isn't there. So you've got a really, really high chance of success. You've got little to no downside. You've got, on the other hand, the traditional medical approach where it's going to accelerate the problem. And traditionally, medical doctors are not willing to do very many of those steroid shots. Sometimes capping it off on 4 total, or sometimes I've seen where they said we'll do 2 per year, but only 2 per year. It doesn't matter how long it lasts, how short it lasts. You only can have the 2 in a year, and then next year you can have another 2. They've got all these regulations about that sort of thing because they do cause detriment and they do cause damage. So I would move that sort of approach down towards the bottom of the list. Let's try the regenerative medicine first. If that fails, then you still always have those other options as backups. But why not try the thing that's the safest, that has the best chance of actually being effective? And here's the most important part, because it's the one and only thing out there that's actually doing anything to create improvement. Remember that the steroid injections, they don't fix anything. They might bring down some inflammation, but they're not actually causing any rebuilding or repair of any cartilage. There's no change in the amount of damage you have for the better. In fact, it is that reduction of inflammation that is why the cartilage gets worse in the first place. Because while inflammation is not fun or comfortable, it is how your body knows where to send its own stem cells. Inflammation is what is designed to draw your stem cells to a particular area. When you keep bringing down inflammation, whether it's with over-the-counter things or heavy-duty things like steroid shots, you're actually fighting against your own body's natural healing mechanisms. So why don't we instead take your body's natural healing mechanisms, turn them up a little bit, and make them work even faster for these kinds of problems? So I would encourage you not to put regenerative medicine as your last resort, but as your first option, your first choice, and see if it doesn't help you to avoid all of those other pitfalls. Thanks again. As always, comments, questions, feedback, very much appreciated. And we'll look forward to talking to you again with the next video. So Dr. Renicki with CellGen Regenerative Medicine in the Savannah and Pooler, Georgia area.